We get how uncertain the future is. We've come of age in a complex world, face to face with problems we didn't create. So what's gonna happen next? We are. Because our future is the future. The life we have chosen has prepared us for this. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day. We're gonna save families from disasters and feed those left in the cold. We're going to do all this and more because we have an appointment with destiny. We invite you to join us. The next greatest generation is now.
Well, hello and welcome back once again, everyone, to the Rally Cry Collegiate Series featuring Rocket League, presented by the Army National Guard. Welcome one and all to our 8th day in totality of competition, the 4th and final closed qualifier heading into the playoff bracket, and it is time for a championship Sunday of our own. My name is Galgan, alongside Relic as always, and Relic, we have 4 teams still vying for the crown here in this 4th weekend of play, but much more than that on the line, seeding towards that 16-team playoff bracket that is screaming down the tracks.
Are you strapped in, folks? Are you strapped in, Galgan? Most crucially, because we're going to break down some permutations here, folks. As it stands, the top 16 is locked in. What is this top 16, you say? Well, first of all, you clearly haven't been watching the Rally Cry Collegiate Series up until this point. Where have you been? But these 16 teams are going to be going at it for $6,000 of prize pool money. It's part of the $30,000 prize pool set towards the Rally Cry Collegiate Series, of course, not just based here in Rocket League, but all around the esports world. Counter-Strike 2, Madden College Championship, the heralded FGC scene featuring Street Fighter 6, Guilty Gear Strive, and Tekken 7. But of course, we're here with Rocket League. We've had 3 weeks of full bracket. We're in the end of the 4th week now, and in theory, and I will put a massive asterisk on this, in theory, our 16 teams are locked in. So for the likes of Osu Grey, Drexel Dragons, Oakland University, and Terps Esports, today what matters is how far up the seeding you can place yourselves to hypothetically find yourself with an easier first matchup on that play-in bracket. Drexel Dragons actually fighting for the very top seed. Going into today, interestingly enough, they have exactly the same points total as UT Dallas, who were really one of the shock dropouts from the quarterfinal stage, along with Southern Miss Coca-Cola. But then it comes down to average placement. They've both won a week, so if, for example, Drexel makes it to the grand final, we don't have this conversation anymore because they've secured top spot. The best spot, of course, that you could get. It's like that big old Will Buxton Drive to Survive meme. Listen, if you start on pole position, you're starting at the front of the pack, or something super obvious like that. But what's not super obvious, Galgan, is scheduling. And some of these teams have got multiple things going on, as is the nature of Collegiate Rocket League. And so, although in theory, and this is where we come back to that asterisk, we have all 16 teams locked in, ready to go. That cannot change now. It might still. If a team decides that their priorities lie elsewhere, then for the likes of Michigan State White and for Northeastern, they're sitting on the periphery, ready to pick up the pieces and have a go at the playoff bracket themselves.
So let's let the playoffs be playoffs, shall we? And focus up on one of the semifinals we will watch for this 4th and final closed qualifier. You see the teams, Oakland University and the University of Maryland Terps Esports. You brought up a good point, though, when you were speaking about how there were some shock upsets yesterday during the competition. Terps Esports, by their own hand, were the undoing of UT Dallas in 6 games. You also mentioned Southern Miss Coca-Cola up on the top side of the bracket, taken out by Ohio State Gray. And I want to touch on them very quickly before we move into our featured matchup, because Ohio State Gray, they walk onto here. Before this, they had only played in week 3, where it was a 7-game loss to Drexel, who they find themselves up against again here in the semis. But all of a sudden, they walk up, they have a pretty confident sweep against UC Berkeley. They follow that up with a 7-game victory against a team who at that point had only lost to Oklahoma Christian and UT Dallas in Southern Miss Coca-Cola. Ohio State Gray is making a very strong case to try and unseat the last remaining past champion in this bracket in the Drexel Dragons. That semifinal should be close. This one that we're focusing up on here with Oakland and Terps, however, Oakland, they only played week 2 before this particular matchup right here. It was an immediate loss to UT Dallas. We know that Oakland has more within them. They have more to prove, more to show us, and this is the place to get it done.
They're going into today 10 points. Of course, they're guaranteed minimum 25. That puts them on the precipice of the top 8. Of course, naturally, going any further than the quarterfinals, semifinals, I should say, rather, means that you're guaranteed a grand final. And that's very much the difference between 25 points, maybe at worst, to at worst 60 points. And that really is the grand prize of everybody in this final four. 60 points for second, 100 points for first, Galgan. It could be the difference between mid-table mediocrity, or mid-table madness, should we say, in terms of playoff matches, or indeed something a little, quote-unquote, easier than what they'd have to deal with otherwise.
And personally, I tend to make a lot of conversation off of past results. I think if you look at Terps Esports, who are making their 4th appearance here in the close qualifiers, they played all 4. They feel like they were lacking those quality wins on their resume. They struggled against Oklahoma Christian in the first. They got swept by Pescados in the second, but they got a big win yesterday against UT Dallas. And what happens when you're hot to trot on the weekend all the way through? You keep it moving here. Terps Esports get up first.
It's a really nice, well-worked, simple goal. Good to see Hexa getting in and amongst them as well. The biggest question, I feel, on the heads, at the shoulders, other shampoo brands are available of Terps Esports, is quite simply, was it more them doing well that undid UT Dallas, or was it UT Dallas not doing well for themselves? It was definitely half of one and half of the other, or what sort of percentile are we actually talking about here? So far, so good. Haven't seen too much from Oakland University. This is their real first proper shot, but it was kind of a stumbling shot there. Easy enough for Hexy to save. Terps is going to bring it in field here. Helped out by Hexy, but Tel's got no boost to be able to follow up. Down the other side of the field, JD Knight's got this on lock.
Well, if anybody knows about the context of UT Dallas performing well, at least in the microcosm of the Rally Cry Collegiate Series, it's Oakland, done out by them in week 2. They find themselves on the back foot early on, have to be careful not to make too many shaky jumps, quick accusations, try to get the ball moving as consistently as they can, commit all of their heads and shoulders forward without forgetting the knees and toes. But a challenge here at the top of the box will slow down the push for Terps. They've still got a solid hold of the midfield line. Top Chetty, aka Peep, is going to try and, it's the complete name. I'm not going to go for the full thing because I have a feeling what it's implying. But at the end of the day, Peep, whatever makes you feel more confident.
It's sort of like changing the car, isn't it? If it's the same hitbox, does it really matter? Well, yes, it does, according to some. It's all about that placebo effect. On the rise now, Hexy, backboard, Whale, tries to bring it out from the back with very little boost. His Turtle wins the 50 and rides the second challenge pretty magnificently. That's a shot towards the net. Turtle doesn't even need to apply a finish. JD Knight puts them 2-0 up.
And this is a really big statement to make for Terps Esports, not just to convince us that they're here to play and make said statement, but you want to talk about roster changes, because it's a very decent point to bring up for Terps Esports. They've been shuffling things around as they've played the qualifiers. Boog, again, noticeably absent from the field. It's Turtle, JD Knight, and Hexy. On the other side, this is Whale out for Oakland University instead of Jay Wismont. We're unsure of the reason why, but perhaps a shakeup is what Oakland feel like they need to have a bit more success in these events. Although, on the other end, Terps Esports, they seem to have picked up right where they left off from yesterday's play, as confident as ever, and even the counters high up to the back wall can't get it done just yet.
Jay Wismont has had a very long career. I think he's very much allowed to take a day off. As here comes Pete. That is an open net freebie, 1-goal game.
Solid tap here, played from the corner, defying expectations. Hexy, not a whole lot of places to play that ball. Had to go for the challenge, and it squeaks out, unfortunately. So that's one small misstep there for Terps Esports. They find a bit of reprieve, Oakland. They get a little bit closer. Still got time to tie it up, too.
So heading into the final 1¾ minutes. Oakland University. Slower start. 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. Looking to raise their examination marks before the clock hits 0, though. Certainly in overtime wouldn't be too bad a situation to be in as Pete runs forward. Oh my goodness, uncontested. That could have been the potential equalizer they were looking for. Tysonic Boom gets a little too eager for his own good and ends up spurring this opportunity. Means that more precious seconds wasted off the clock here. And Oakland University now in the defensive. Well, they deal with that first attack pretty well. Now it's up in the air. Turtle's going to win the race to this one. But it's a relatively neutral challenge and it's back into blue hands.
Whole lot of whiffs, though, going both ways. Turtle tries to follow this ball from the side. Doesn't get it moving very quickly, but it's still a slow, staggered counter from Oakland. They're not going to control possession all the way through, but Turtle with another miss. Keep trying to follow up with a center pass. It's top of the box, but Tysonic Boom a bit too slow. Counter is open and available for Terps Esports, but they're happy to play it slow, take more time off the clock, make sure that Oakland can't formulate a push of their own, and when the ball's in the back of your net, there's nothing else he can do.
Game 1 has been Hexy's game, undoubtedly. Pete meandering, was always asking for trouble by spending so long in possession. Good challenge from Hexy. Falls kindly for Turtle, but you've got to be in the right place at the right time. The proper fox in the box. And that really should be it with just 30 seconds to go unless Oakland perform a miracle.
Sonic Boom will try to do just that. Quick flick to the near post could have solved all problems if not for the defense in the way and those meddling Terps Esports players, but they'll give a little assistance to Peep and they'll get him one step closer.
Oh, I feel a little bit, what's the right word? I was going to say epiphonic. I feel like that's just a word that I've made up to describe having an epiphany. Either way, epiphany has most certainly been had for Oakland University. I asked and I have received early goal. Now can they find that quick wham bam? Is Pete going top beans? Not going to find it. The save from Turtle, helped out by Hexy, but both of them miss. Opportunity for Whale there to throw it forward again, but again more time wasted here. Benefits Terps Esports. Sideways, not really out and about, but there it is downfield. They had to send it high with the press. Oakland University, they get caught out, and this one is finally sewn up for Terps.
Terps Esports singing wham bam shang-a-lang high to the hills. They'll take this game 1 in due time. It's a well-deserved victory for them. I think coming into this, Oakland University are joining, you know, just by name alone, the ranks of some of the other teams in this competition, you know, the Maryville, Boise State, teams that you expect to perform well before you've even seen them turn the game on. And yet, that expectation is something that Terps Esports and other teams in this competition have really shown up to try and break down. I think that's one of the best facets of collegiate play, especially outside of the top echelon, is you get all these teams that they know maybe all of their students aren't on full scholarships. Maybe they don't have the same level of commitments as the Northwoods and the Fishers and the Cumberlands out there that are just building monster project rosters, but they are hungry as ever to make these big moves, not trying to put away Maryland here and say that they're an inferior program. They've certainly done a great job putting this team together, but at the same time, it's really nice to see this shakeup of expectations. You know, you go in thinking this is how the series should look on paper, and then the practice provides you anything but what you expect.
Oh, you know me, Galgan. I do love me some historical data. It's always nice to build up the story of a series, but it's almost like we're setting ourselves up for failure, to be honest, because we almost want the history books to be rewritten. It shows that, you know, the realm of Rocket League, whether it's a collegiate or championship series level, is a fluid one. It's a malleable one. Nobody can ever stay too safe. And I think if you want a really high-profile example of that, just take a look at Team Vitality over in the European region. Everyone was calling them invincible, and they were for a few months. Crucial few months, got them a world championship, but still they struggle coming into this particular season, and it's because the game around them continues to evolve. And that's what we're seeing here. Oakland University, in the context of the Rally Cry Collegiate Series, they're a one-week wonder right now. They've only put 10 points up on the board, and that's the first goal on the board here in game number 2. Excellent punish, the pop-up, the demo, and Tysonic Boom on target. Terps Esports caught out at the back. Great opener here for Oakland University.
Really makes me reminiscent of yesterday's play where kickoff sequences were paramount, and I back Oakland to continue to try and generate early chances. Only takes them 6 seconds for the first here. They want another one as Whale goes off the back wall, but Turtle with an early jump, and look at the quick break the other way. Redirect was needed because Tysonic Boom got there in time. That's an opportunity you have to close up for Maryland, and Whale's going to try and punish back the other way. Beautiful self-dish, but just a bit too wide.
Oh, the impossible angle. We're talking about probabilities now. Oh, but the only mathematics that Terps need is how to be able to score a goal and count how many folks are actually up with you in the attack. It's twice now where they've been unaware of Oakland's positioning, and defensively that's helped Oakland because it's enabled them to counter-attack with real force and vigor. And but for, well, you know, again, angles, get the protractor out, they have been denied here, but I'm really impressed here. First minute gone, Oakland easily on top.
And it's because they're getting faster, getting to the ball when they need to, taking touches that, yes, they're stretching for a bit, but that's the kind of performance that's going to throw Maryland off their mark, although Pete a bit ambitious on the pre-jump. Tysonic Boom will try to keep it alive. Whale bumped out of the corner. Another bump run on the goal line, but Terps Esports can't formulate the counter well enough. So it comes right back for Oakland. Off the ground goes Tysonic Boom, gets one to go, can't up the second, and both teams are doing an excellent job of making the initial jump into the offensive zone a threatening one. Who's going to have the sustained level of pressure, though, because neither team can hold on to it for too long right now.
Oh, and check this as well. I didn't pick up on it first time around, but Tysonic Boom rocking an orange decal. Again, how much is Might and Games of play in Collegiate? We've been talking about grass boost, we've been talking about mean vehicles, but that's a great shot, and it's an even better save to meet it. Tysonic Boom taking out the equation. It's another shot going for the top beans. It's Wales again, who gets an awkward touch, but it's off their own bar, I should say. And so that's not really helped out Terps Esports on this one, because they weren't expecting where the ball was going to go as well. He's with no boost, buying so much time for his team. They both pop up here. Whale to Tysonic Boom. That was a little too closely guarded, and Terps can run downfield, but it's an easy save for Pete. Never mind. Quick round the corner. Oh, Whale again.
Quick scramble here for Oakland University, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Tysonic Boom decal, I think that's the Netherlands World Cup kit, I believe.
Is it really?
If it is, I fully excuse the orange decal on a blue team because Netherlands have the best Eurovision song heading into this year. That's my personal opinion. Don't flame me for that, but listen, we'll move on from that quickly because, you know, this is America. This is North America. Who needs Eurovision? We got the best music anyway, and we got the best Rocket League. 2 minutes to go. This is what you want to be tuned into. Terps Esports, they've been fighting, clawing to get some form of offensive possession as JD Knight taps up, but these touches that they're taking, not optimal, and you can see how quickly it forces them to retreat. Tysonic Boom following through, but no real punch for Oakland.
You are spot on. That is most certainly the Netherlands decal. Also, just if anyone's interested, if you haven't watched Eurovision before, it's a great opportunity to laugh at the United Kingdom. What more excuse do you need? Great shot. Pete puts Oakland 2-0 up. And Terps, I mean, they've huffed and they've puffed, but I tell you what, this straw house of Oakland ain't falling down just yet.
Certainly strong when they get to the top of the box. You have to back that the opportunity's coming soon, and quick, neat passing plays. They make very quick work of putting the ball on target. I mentioned it earlier. Both teams are doing a solid job of punching early, but who's going to have that sustained pressure? Oakland right now have been doing a much better job in that department.
So, his Whale. Jumps, to be fair. It scares the living daylights out of Hexy. Sets up for the Whale shot. 3-0. Easy.
Easy as can be. It's the mere presence of what could happen. And finding the touch is just icing on the cake, but sometimes you just have to instill in your opponents, you know, you better make the touch of your life, because if you don't, I'm going to do something. Even if I don't hit the ball, I'm just going to mentally wear you down. And if that's Peep's playstyle, it's certainly working right now as Terps have to try and pull out some heroics from Hexy just to get one on the board.
Oakland's defense has been the big difference maker. It's frustrated Terps, and it's opened up passing lanes, which previously were, well, locked off, but they found the key. Oakland down the other side. I mean, listen, speaking of QK European TV, it most certainly is the peep show right now for Oakland University. Whether he's indirectly or directly involved, Terps Esports have all of their eyes on there. That's a brilliant job for Speaker the Devil.
No matter how much Hexy could do, Peep stands in the way. It seems like that's going to carry Oakland through into a Game 2 victory. You got to expect something like this out of a series between these two, right? There's no way Oakland are going to go quietly into the night. They're going to hopefully grab a fourth, and yep, sent right off of the defender. Tysonic Boom notches it.
That's such a nasty slicer, and you can tell that coming into view there, Turtle knows that he's not punched the brakes early enough, and so it's a glancing attempt at a save. Is this now flattering Oakland University? Yeah, maybe, but I think that the performance should be applauded nevertheless, Galgan. Far improved above what we saw, especially defensively. Case in point there, Pete with another big save. It's not often you will say this within the microcosm of 5 minutes. Terps are held to a clean sheet. What a response from Oakland.
And I think that's the key to this series right now, because if you want to talk about precedent for Terps Esports and how they played yesterday compared to how they want to continue playing today, they won that series, Terps Esports, against UT Dallas, not necessarily offensively. I believe it was UT Dallas putting up over 60 shots on target and well eclipsing the University of Maryland, and yet they still were able to grind that out in 6 games. So it's somewhat clear to me that Terps Esports, their path forward in this series is not going to be shot after shot after shot after shot. They want to be as clinical as possible. If Oakland has strong defense like they do here in Game 2 continuously over the course of a series, this ends much faster than Maryland wants it to.
I apologize. I was checking my notes from yesterday. You might remember that Terps had nowhere near. I mean, you're right to point out the 60 shots, but it was the shot conversion from Terps that was even more impressive. They converted 39.5% of their shots on target, which that might sound weird or a little low to people who are like, oh, surely you should be converting all. Like, no, the usual conversion rate is maybe at best 25, and that's considered a good day at the office. So to get 39.5% is actually incredible, but it also does speak to the issue that Terps have, which is still that chance generating rotation. They are a little slow sometimes to react. Their transitional play was really good yesterday, but it also feels inconsistent overall when you sort of compare it against previous performances. So the opportunities were always there for Oakland to go out there and find some joy for themselves. They have done to great effect. Let's see just how adaptable this Terps roster is now, because they're sitting there just outside of the leading group points-wise. They have to make it to the grand final if they want to overtake any of the folks ahead.
Adaptability is exactly where I'm focused up as well for Terps Esports, because if you picture all 3 of these players with a slider of sorts between not feeling it on offense and having an absolute field day in terms of scoring efficiency, yes, you'd like all 3 of them to be as high up as possible. That's a perfect sense of play. For Terps Esports, in the games that they end up winning convincingly, the sliders are kind of all over the place, but one of the people on this team that absolutely has to have it turned on is Turtle. This is a sign that they may be back.
Such a clean connection, the setup sublime. Pete had absolutely no chance, because even though they're in the right place to jump, get the boost up to go for that save, it simply takes too long. Such power was generated in that ultimate shot. A fantastic follow-up here as well. Tysonic Boom at least gets a piece of it. Away it goes. 100 steal as Hexy looks to rotate out. Tysonic Boom receives the play. Turtle intercepts. Good disruption. JD Knight now with 100. Works his way around Pete, but there's Whale. Midfield line. Stops it. Recycles it to Tysonic Boom perfectly. But they're sort of going sideways, a little bit forward, but not forward with enough pace as of yet. Galgan will hold that thought, because maybe here, no. JD Knight, yes. Tysonic Boom backboard. Turtle away to the side. Watch out, the siege continues.
Whole lot of yeses and nos, but no decisive factor just yet for Oakland to tie this one up. Still early goings, but Terps Esports stand tall. And here's Turtle again to try and close up a second. It goes off the post. JD Knight to recycle this one back in center. Take the shot himself. And Whale with a huge save. Miss off the side. Challenge with Turtle for another. And Terps Esports try to continue this hold.
They're into the retreat and they give it up to Oakland. It's Peep who tries to bait out 1-2 defenders, still dangerous. Oh my goodness! Well, must have thought the Heat scored, but for the post that came to the rescue. Hexy, full transition, full 3v1, big save Peep, it's not enough. 2-0 Terps.
Simply teasing all of Oakland. The ball's right there, clear it aside, but you threw everything to the first save, and Hexy dribbles that one in support of the whole team coming in line. The Terps Esports grab 2 on the trot.
Very strange, isn't it? It's a big pendulum swing from last game. Not to say that Oakland are playing any worse than they did in game number 2, but again, we asked for that Terps adaptability. Where is it? And we are seeing it in spades. So clinical down the other side of the pitch. It's almost like we know what we are talking about and what we have seen before, Galgan.
It really does feel like more of a return to the familiar Terps Esports winning side, because the point that I was getting at right as Turtle scored the opening goal is that if Terps Esports are playing well, Turtle is going to be the initiator, the mastermind of sorts for the team, and Hexy and JD Knight do an excellent job in supporting roles. They can do it all themselves if needed, but Turtle feels like the prime source of inspiration for this University of Maryland team. When they get stuck in the corner like this, though, there's really not much you can recover from.
Stuck in the corner really is the big descriptor here. Turtle simply has to do better in what is admittedly a difficult situation, but rather than going for the sort of mid-hit back to the corner, they got to try and keep the ball closer to the car, which again is a difficult skill. But when we're talking about what's here, some of the top collegiate teams, you simply got to do it. But immediately, as soon as they get pegged back one, excellent kickoff. Whale doesn't really do well with this, spikes it up. It's the perfect setup for JD Knight, who has the entire goal at his mercy to shoot at. 2-goal lead re-established.
If you want to talk about forming habits, you give JD Knight the ball on the right side of the net, it's going on target. 2 consistently has that happened. Big challenge there from Whale. Hexy registers a save, so again it's Oakland threatening immediately off the kickoff, but a nice jump from Hexy. Turtles forward and backflips. It almost didn't matter, but Tysonic Boom came over the top to get that save. It's JD Knight just lining that one up. Hexy for the follow through. So many chances for Terps Esports to notch one more. They're not comfortable with a 2-goal lead. They want to run it up.
As good as Turtle is, he does require boost to do some of the more fantastical stuff, and just didn't have anything in the tank to work with on that particular play. But you know, we're 10-20 seconds on from that now, and Terps Esports really haven't lost their stride. Oakland University struggling to escape their own half. Case in point, it's another setup, and Peep is completely misstepped here. Hexy with a 4, and now it's a long way back for Oakland University.
And this is why I feel like this series is just entering the twilight zone. We get to this stage where both teams are either having a game that's completely on or completely off, and you really struggle to decide who's going to move forward, especially considering the fact that we've got at least, 2 or 3 games after this. If things continue on, you expect it to go even farther, but Oakland have not shown the same characteristics that they had just about 10 minutes ago. It's really starting to slow down. The collaborative effort's not quite present. Terps Esports are ready to run wherever they need with the ball in their hands and not really worry about losing possession for too long.
Well, 4-line is the current scoreline. 4-1 is the series scoreline for our other semi-final. And Drexel Dragons are the ones who have won it, therefore guaranteeing top spot in the seeding. Terps Esports want to join them in that top 5, Galgan. And speaking of 5, well, here's a 5th.
It's evident. It's very, very evident that they want this matchup against Drexel again. If you remember, last weekend, that semifinal turned grand final went 7 games, and Terps Esports were on the losing end. They would love nothing more than to do right by that missed result. Players box each other out all the way up the sidewall. I mean, this game is over. Let's get it absolutely straight. Terps Esports have taken the series lead with 15 seconds to go. The rest is just a formality.
Most certainly, but is it going to continue this form? Terps win, Oakland win, Terps win, Oakland win, because if so, Galgan, that's terrible news for Oakland. We've already got the ending of the story spoiled for us.
If only this series was a best of 6 and tying meant that they could both play against Drexel Dragons 6v3 and both, I guess, split the points, which wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense since Drexel would get 60 and then both teams would end up getting 50 by the split. So I'm going to try not to think about that too hard. But at the very end of it, I think it's somewhat of a good sign for Oakland. Maybe if we are going to seesaw like this, get some momentum back. I think this particular loss is more of a defeating one than previously in this series because it really just felt like they weren't there, right? We said that the key was going to be a clinical defense against Terps Esports' desire to play a clinical offense, but Maryland just put up 6 against you, and it didn't look like they were particularly stressing to score those goals. That's not really the sign of a defense, faltering a little bit. It's kind of the sign of a defense forgetting to show up.
Yeah, I'm getting my John Travolta gifs out again because I'm looking around for the defense, which I saw in game number 2, and I can't see it anywhere. I do feel like we've got to give Terps great credit because we literally said, what was really good about them in the series yesterday was they're super clinical. And they were really, really clinical in this game. Every single time that they came forward, they carried with them a threat, but they looked more threatening because of their opponents taking their foot off the proverbial gas a little bit. Their rotations were a little bit so-so. They were losing their 100 boosts a little more frequently. So whether that leads to a change up to be a little bit more combative, try and look for those bumps and demos to give themselves the breathing room defensively to just reset and go again, I don't know. Again, I'm not the coach here, but I think that regaining control over the midfield is an important next step to ensure that they do find a win here in game number 4.
Really do want Oakland to establish themselves, get some more possession control over, but Tysonic Boom demoed, and another challenge from the back wall. Well, certainly not going to make it any easier. Hexy just kind of threatens the flip reset, may not have had it, but plays it low anyway. It's a nice block from Pete to at least block this ball back out to the midfield line. So ruminations of the midfield presence coming back for Oakland, but they're still shoved a bit too far back into that blue zone for anyone's liking. Now taking a step forward is Pete, but it's Tysonic Boom removed again. They struggle to formulate that push, and Hexy going forward can't get it off the back wall, so people try and play it clean.
Peep's going to chase and find no success. Back to Whale. Not a great first touch, is it? Challenged. Tysonic Boom, well, it was there, but he completely fluffed the shot. Hexy doesn't shot on target. Pete with the save. Rotates back out to Whale. No harm, no foul. JD Knight with the pinch off the back. He heads to Turtle, but can't really do much with that. Tysonic Boom with a 180 turn. JD Knight's back in town to make whatever save comes of this, but Tysonic Boom is just taking it sideways and hands it over to the enemy anyway.
Turtle has to forego. Hexy has to sit back down, and JD Knight will take over responsibilities. Good challenge, but Whale's already forward in the zone. Off the back wall, 1-2-1. It's going to the top corner, but a bit of help from the post and teammates. And now on the counter, Whale has to scramble for the first save again. Terps Esports putting the ball on target as quickly as possible. Can Oakland do the same? They're shut out. They've left the back line open, and it's Whale again who needs to dissuade this ball away from the target. So many rotations here for Oakland University are ending up with an anchor point on one specific player every single time. I feel like I've seen Whale playing the most defensively of all three. Who's going to take that step forward conversely and try and get Oakland going on the offensive side?
They're having to cover each other's shadows because they keep on getting demoed. Terps Esports listened to the Relic Advice Corner TM and decided, actually, you know what, that's a really good idea. Let's do that ourselves, and it's working out so well for them. Admittedly, without any fruit when it comes to the goals, and I think it's quite surprising to say as we head towards halftime, still 0-0. The fair play, because Oakland University, they've just rode that wave. They've got old Kakuna, that's a Pokemon. They've got old Kahuna on us, and they're saying Hawaii to a goal. It's 1-0.
Simply able to thrive in the chaos. Forced to the corner, take the challenge, win it outright, and you've got your goal. Surefire opportunity for Oakland University, just about halfway through. Gonna be feeling decent at this point. You know you're down in the series, but you can't stress it too much. If Terps Esports are gonna let off the gas a little bit, you've got to step on it in comparison, here's Turtle to try and rectify it, but sends it just a bit too far off the top of the box. Keep is screaming back the other way and forces Hexy into action early, but it's another corner challenge that ends up in the center of the target. Whale trying to put this back against two defenders who are scrambled to try and meet that test.
Terps are frustrated. They have been the better team for the lion's share of this game, and yet to go 1-0 down, and you've got to say, you know, fair play, Oakland University, you really absorbed the pressure mighty fine. No press of the nuclear button just yet. Everything is nice and cool. But in the opposite camp, Terps Esports, you can see now a bit frazzled, struggling to get out of their own half. Oakland vibing with confidence, and although this is a good clearance, it's eaten up by Tysonic Boom. The chase is too late, and before you know it, a challenge sees the ball right back in the orange half.
Everyone moving backwards. It's Turtle first up. Solid challenge. Not a whole lot of boost, but still going hypersonic. Grabs the demo. Looking for a center. Has JD Knight at the top of the box. Lets the ball go. Oh, it still almost works out if JD just got it a bit further to the left. That ball is as good as scored. Now Oakland walk it the other way. That's a good challenge set up for Pete. Gets it to Tysonic Boom. Crossbar though, too many Terps waiting. Save that ball aside. Whale recycles but misses. We go back again to midfield presence. It's not enough just to be there. You've got to take the ball with you.
Really smart 1v1 play by Peep here, though. Continues to drive directly at whoever's in front of them, and it leaves who's ever in front of them with a choice. You either back up and prioritize position, but give up any hope of trying to wrestle the ball away, or you go in for the 50, of which you're already on the back foot, you're already at a disadvantage. It's so smart. It wastes more time off the clock. And speaking of, there's just 30 seconds left to find an equalizer, or alternatively to find a second to put this one to bed.
People try to do just that. Sent to Tysonic Boom, who beams it back to the corner that it came from. Peep has another chance. Gets beat by Turtle early on. Whale for the challenge. Wins it somewhat outright, 60-40, you'd say. Tysonic Boom sends to an open frame, and Whale redirects it high. You can see the vision, and it's just keeping the ball away, prolonging the last push. The Terps Esports 2 jump, 1 goes. It's Hexy. No time on the clock. It's sent to the goal line, but a few meters short. And we're all square, headed to game 5.
There was an entire apartment block in front of them as well, so they probably wouldn't have been able to score anyway. Yo, whenever Oakland win, they get a clean sheet. That seems to be the general idea behind the Oakland performance. Get ahead and then just don't lose any goals. And I think, again, part of what I like about this team is their ability to go head-to-head into the 50s without any fear. I think Terps are definitely still on, you know, that sort of like that pulse meter where they have their peaks, they have their troughs. It's a weird hand motion. It's very engaging, isn't it? You can definitely just get completely distracted. ADHD going off the scales. Anyway, my point being, I think that quite conversely to Terps, they've actually stuck to their own methodology. It didn't work in game number 1. It didn't work in game number 3. But when they're on it, when it all clicks, it is arguably the strategy that works the best out of anything that we've seen on the field before. But it's 50-50 right now. We need to start seeing them churn out these as consistent performances.
I know, I wish we just had that level of confidence that these teams have when they win these games carry over into the very next game, because it well and truly feels like, you know, in these winning games, we've seen so many challenges go the way of whoever squeaks out the win, especially in that last one. A lot of the touches taken at midfield. I mean, earlier on in the series, teams were just kind of getting warmed up into it. Players maybe were a bit slow to get going. We saw a couple more whiffs. Now, these challenges in the middle of the field, you start to get the feeling that the team who ends up winning the game wins those midfield challenges about 60-40, maybe 70-30 even. And it may not immediately result in that scoring chance, but it's just something in the air, something not quite as tangible as a goal being scored, but it's still something to latch on for these teams, trying to continue that level of confidence from the midfield forward into the zone and execute on your game plan.
Totally, and I really should have prefaced this with, again, Terps were absolutely the best team for the opening 2 minutes of that last game. But as soon as they go behind, it almost feels like it's a complete turnabout. They just cannot get anything on target. And by the time that they do, Oakland University are putting up the defensive bastions, and they have no problems with it. Case in point there, good shot opportunity. This time, at least, Hexy is in the way. It seems that Terps Esports, when they are really rolling, it's super difficult to stop them. But it's about finding that purchase in the ground, finding that anchor to hold on to, which really is the troublesome bit. And that's early to mid-game. The longer it goes on, the longer those nerves are frayed.
This is a sequence, though. I'd really like to see Oakland University get closer to scoring. It's cleared past the midfield line. That all started with JD Knight being stranded and forced to take a challenge at one boost in the tank. But now Turtle, a double off the ceiling, sets up well for JD Knight to send a laser again from the right side. Hexy jumps up in support, try and keep this ball alive deep in the Oakland zone. Pete can't do much against that follow-up push. It's passed right out to JD Knight, but Tysonic Boom racing through, double commit on the shot, and they send it wide. Seems like full control for Oakland in the corner if they can wrangle it. Keep trying to do just that. Everybody's stuck again from Terps Esports. Where have I seen this before? Hexy, though, makes sure that it at least gets back out to midfield as everybody kind of resets.
I love this from Whale. Oh, I really like this from Whale. With no boost, hopes and a dream, manages to get it to the backboard and buys more time for the team to just work on that boost harvesting? My goodness, harboring / harvesting. There you go, put your teeth in Relic. Heading to half-time at 0-0 yet again. Quick turn, peep bar post. Save for the cameras from Hexy, but Tysonic Boom on the scene sets it up for Whale. Important touch there from Hexy off the backboard. Tysonic Boom turns, gets the shot away. It's going to go sideways thanks to the big interception. Hexy once again on this backboard has to go for the short touch. Almost a setup for Whale. Tysonic Boom now look at this encroaching continually on enemy territory. It's more like a battle royale at this point, with the ringing closing on your position, Terps.
Exactly what we wanted, though, out of either of these teams, and Oakland finally delivering consistent offensive pressure. All they need is the goal to seal the deal, but they can't find it. Midfield line, Turtle gets some control, but Demo removed away. Here's Whale's opportunity to get it back into Oakland hands, but broken up by Hexy. Almost the self-dish out of the corner. Can't quite get there in time. Delayed and dealt with out center for Hexy again. Redemption, a chance to go up for the air dribble, tries to play it low, but had two in the way. Little chance to score, and JD sends the challenge wide. The Terps Esports try their hand at the offensive long-term stay. This one floats all the way to Tysonic Boom at the bottom of the box.
It's so important for Terps to just take a wider perspective on things, Galgan, because again, they're continuing to double commit, really. This last 30 seconds looking a lot better, but they've still had to give up a little bit of possession. Hexy was awfully isolated there. Tysonic Boom choosing not to go for the bump could have been a different story had they. Breakout here for Turtle. JD Knight not going to be able to deny Tysonic Boom another search forward. Hexy with the flip up. Hexy being crucial in the defensive phases of this game right now. That's dangerous. That's nasty. Turtle can't deal with it. Nobody can. Tysonic Boom can't put it on target either. Near post. Saved by JD Knight. Tysonic Boom goes for another pass in field. The setup for Whale. Stopped by Hexy. Here's JD Knight who's going to be dumped off by Whale. On target. Turtle with heroics put on the game. Why don't you? Oh, Terps Esports living perilously.
You'd think they'd be down by 5 at this stage, but still tied with 40 to go. Scoreless affair. Tysonic Boom. Challenge jumps for early, and Hexy tries to squeak it out. Deep goes all the way across to give a better stance for Oakland. Force everybody from Terps to one direction, then run it against the grain, but Hexy able to get a clear out. Terps Esports have not had the better look at too many offensive chances, and JD Knight just has to delay on the touch here. Now a miss by 2. Turtle wants to go center, may take the shot himself. Beautiful. It does! It's a beam to the bar!
Oh, it was going to be a one-goal game, wasn't it? And it needed a moment of pure quality, Galgan. Great work to fish that ball out from a dangerous position. Oakland had sent 2 forward. It was a great clearance as well, let's not forget, from Pete. But in that moment where everything was looking like it was heading towards overtime, it just took one man with a clear head to make the difference. And let's see whether they can hold on now, because Oakland are going to give it a good go. Oh, rattles the it's the middle part between the post and the bar. Hits the ground, no. Tysonic Boom keeps it up, but Peep isn't in the best situation here. Pop up, Whale, great challenge from Hexy. Tysonic Boom chases but misses the ball. The form book continues. Match point, Terps.
absolute insanity. There are few words that I can find other than just the capitulation that this felt like Oakland's game to win.
Yeah.
So many chances over and over. I have been asking both of these teams where their consistent offensive pressure is, and Oakland brought it. Shot after shot, midfield hold. They checked off all the boxes except for the one that wins you the game of Rocket League. And Terps Esports took full advantage. Credit where credit is due. They had their golden opportunity. They scored. They're headed to a double match point. So you have to tip your hats to them. But at the same time, Oakland, man, something about how they're playing right now does not feel characteristic. And whether or not that's Terps Esports continuing to confuse their opposition like they did yesterday against UT Dallas, or if it's, a case of Oakland just not quite being on it on this particular day, something's got to give. Some level of efficiency and clinicality has got to show up. And maybe what it takes from Oakland is ripping a page out of Maryland's playbook.
You could call that plagiarism.
Thanks for the save. Yeah.
You're very welcome. No worries at all. I actually really liked how Terps were playing, though. Admittedly, I think you're absolutely spot on. I'm looking at this team in blue, and I'm thinking, still, where are the bumps? Where are the demos? Where are the forceful actions to break open a defense? Because right now you've got JD Knight making some brilliant 50s. You've got Hexy, who's completely given up on going forward and is making some wonderful saves. And you've got Turtle, who, as we highlighted earlier, has the quality day in, day out to make those series-changing plays. As we saw here, Terps Esports now one game away from locking in the minimum of 60 points. That is, quite frankly, disgusting from Whale. It's nonchalant, it's pedestrian, but you've got to accept when it's ingenuity as well.
Let's just go to game 7. Yeah, I think we have.
Yeah, because Terps are going to score. They
Exactly.
only win by clean sheets. Yeah.
That's the thing. As soon as Oakland, decide that they want to win a game, they don't allow Maryland to score. So I think we can stop the count now. It's not like Maryland are going to find a goal, and they'll watch them do so within a relatively short time frame. Nice demo onto Whale. He has to do a whole lot of work to clear this away, but doing a whole lot of work is definitely something that he's comfortable doing at any given time. Whale with an early jump. And Oakland is trying to feel comfortable right now. They know they need to grind this out for game 7. They need to lock themselves in, play as calm, cool, and collected as they can. Maryland, on the other hand, are going to try and stretch out the rotation as much as they can.
Terps forward with Turtle. Look at that infield pass. And it ends up being a huge challenge that goes negatively for them. Whale can't latch onto it. Not as much as he would have wanted to anyway. They set up a peep on target save. Whale runs, goes for the fake. JD Knight having none of it. Oh, wow! Off the line from Turtle and away again with the on-rushing. I think that was Tysonic Boom coming in with that brand new optic decal. Hexy now makes the save as well. Knock, knock. Goes Oakland University. Open the door for us, or we're going to smash it in ourselves.
As much as of a scramble that play looks like, and you could forget it and try and move on quickly, that is critical for Maryland. If they concede there, the mental starts to slip a little bit more. They start to think about game 7 a little bit more, but they know that they are still contending for this win. Nice rotation, control the ball, set up the play that you want. It's a pass to Hexy off the sidewall, who grabs it from the corner, but Peep reads it very well to get a second touch all the way aired out down the center of the field. Tysonic Boom follows as well, and Peep going for the shot from the corner. Good read by JD Knight on the save. What a goal that would have been as Oakland looked for their second.
Yeah, Peep was looking to scoop that central again. Tysonic Boom simply not onto it, but that's a big overcommitment now. Turtle's gone sideways, perhaps bought a little bit too much time for Oakland to retreat, and indeed so that is what has been the case. But JD Knight allowed a free shot opportunity follow-up. Oh, they were asking for trouble, Oakland University. The clean sheet record broken.
You want to talk about clinicality? JD Knight may have missed early, but Hexy on the fadeaway there, rushing to the corner. Sends it to the top on the near side, no chance. Halfway through, Terps Esports, do they end up losing a game that they've scored in? Or is the series and the curse of going back and forth in games being traded finally being broken?
Doctor, we've got a pulse. I repeat, we've got a pulse. but that pulse has very quickly just lessened ever so slightly. Again, great challenge, great press from Oakland University, but it's the double commit, the most egregious of the actions in this phase of play. Freebie for Tysonic Boom, 2-1 Oakland University.
Does not help in the slightest that that ball travels on the flat line right to the top of the box. There's a follow through now for Oakland off the kickoff once again. They want more, not content with a 1-goal lead. Give 2 to Peep. Oh, Chetty.
Take me to the steakhouse. I do love me a good Salt Bay pinch. Gorgeous little touch there from Pete. Drops it underneath the crossbar. Unsavable, right place. Oakland University opening up a bit of daylight now. That brief sense that Terps could maybe get something out of this game was all too brief. They need a quick response. They almost get it double. Demo, and it still goes wide.
Still, the fact that plays are here and happening for Terps Esports continues to make me confused on where to land with this series, because knowing what I know, that we're probably going to Game 7 after this, and Terps Esports are destined to win. I guess that's what script would happen. Maybe they try to do it earlier. A whole lot of misses there. Hexy picks up the pieces.
We're going flower picking because this is an oopsie daisy from Tysonic Boom. Completely misread where that ball was heading. Hexy had a freebie. Gift wrapped. 1-goal game. Terps Esports ain't done yet.
Just over 100 seconds to play. Now at that mark, sidewall, and it's going to be Hexy to respond early. Peep trying to be a nuisance here. Break up the play, and break up the play he has. Hexy makes a delaying touch, and it works out as a save, and then some. Turns around immediately on the blind run and gets another clear aside. Oakland have to back up again.
Turtle going to go around the world looking for a bump, doesn't find one. JD Knight forced back, resets the play. Hexy, that would be astonishing. Laid up for JD Knight, but no, Tysonic Boom has something to say about that. Demo on Turtle as well. Here's Hexy on the chase. Great sultry touch to take it past one, and the demo, and the setup, and another setup, but it goes high from Turtle. Follow up! Oh, it's 3-3, astonishing!
Level of poise from a striker that you cannot teach. You must learn, and Turtle puts the brakes on full force, heating those babies up to their highest extent, and grabs the tying goal. Terps Esports will not go quietly. They don't want a decider. They want to be decisive.
As the old saying goes, sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles, and the University of Maryland know just how well that proves true.
You simply cannot stop this roster when Turtle is on a tear, and it's a dime from Hexy right off the kickoff, trying to do it to Oakland the way they did it themselves. 53 to play, and the script has been flipped for now.
Stunned, 3 goals in quick succession. 48 seconds to find a fourth for Oakland University. Challenge. Hexy completely fluffs it. How on earth have they been able to fish that out of there? The answer is JD Knight had the cap on, and now he's going down to the lakes, right down the other side into this blue territory. Turtle can't get there first. Whale helps it onwards, but to whomst, Gaugen, to whomst.
Hoping that the redirect would go right in, but not the case. They're throwing everything but the kitchen sink. Can they turn it around with 18 to play? Possession back in Peep's hands, but Turtle tries to dispossess. Played to the side, and Peep cannot land on the ground fast enough. Set center right into the hands of JD Knight. Under 10 to play, and Tysonic Boom must get it going now. Over to Peep. It's off the sidewall and set it up well.
No way.
Double too fast. Tysonic Boom on the follow and grounds it. No Game 7 needed. The Terps Esports roster from the University of Maryland. They've done it here in the semifinals. Another massive result in this bracket, and they have earned every bit of this rematch coming up against Drexel.
I'm definitely going to put a proviso on that. Turtle earned every bit of what they managed to earn there. My goodness, that was a captain's performance if ever I've seen one. Just the ability to almost just zone out, and no matter what was going on around him, he always had a solo play ready. And even, I mean, we think about that goal where there was the setup, and then JD Knight sets it up for Turtle, and then Turtle hits the crossbar, and you're thinking, well, that's it. Drive over. They have to go again. But Turtle went again immediately and had the control and poise to put it on target whilst the defense was still scrambling. So So impressed with that performance. And the rewards are quite tangible, Gaugan. That guarantees them a minimum of 60 points just for being in the grand final. That 60 points takes them above Oklahoma Christian. It takes them above Boise State. It takes them above Southern Miss Coca-Cola. 100 points, and they'll be ahead of UT Dallas. But that's for our grand final, of course. The good news is that they are guaranteed a top 3 seed. Don't think we saw that one coming at the end of maybe week 1 or 2.
Absolutely. You have to admire the amount that Terps have grown over the course of these 4 weekends. I love that we've seen them in every single closed qualifier as well, because watching the development of this roster over time, it well and truly feels like we are at the heights that they aspired to reach once this event started 3 odd weeks ago, and now they're finally hitting their stride. As far as this particular series, as we look back at some of the replays, I am astonished at the offensive efficiency from a team like Maryland when they get it going. I think early on, we had our questions, they had their struggles, because I talk a lot about the identity of Rocket League teams and how they best like to play this game. Maryland, to me, reads as a team, and I brought this up in the middle of the series, where Turtle is the inspiring factor, and Hexy and JD Knight are there to completely round out this complete package. As the series went on, Turtle got into form, Hexy started getting into form, JD Knight started getting into form. Everybody was performing exactly how they needed to, and I think that was the biggest struggle for Oakland. They couldn't just play their own style of Rocket League. They had to figure out how to diffuse the situation that was Terps Esports getting better by the second.
Totally, and I think a large part of the thanks should be given to Hexy actually for sacrificing so many forward runs. Certainly as the series went on, went more and more defensively leaning. I'd love to have heat maps in Rocket League, because I'm almost convinced that in those last couple of games he would have spent the majority of time in his own third, except when it's clear that there's a great opportunity to go up there and score a goal or participate in a goal. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because I look at Oakland, and actually it's a lack of identity which I feel has lost them this game. I mean, I talked earlier in those first couple where it's like, and even to the first 3 to a certain extent, where, you know, it was clear that they were trying to sit a little bit more defensively and then break out. But it's all fair and well having an identity defensively, Gaugan, but that identity got questioned, it got ripped apart by Terps a couple of times over. But it was the final third which they really suffered. Clinicality really was the watchword here. Terps were, Oakland weren't. And that speaks of a lot of work to be done, synergizing, breaking up plays, and at least for my money, looking for those bump plays, demo plays to just make it a little bit easier for you, honestly.
It was certainly one of the things that Maryland had done so well. I championed this from yesterday's play as well. They're able to confuse their opponents. They did it to UT Dallas. They do it here again to Oakland. And my fear is that for Oakland, as they go into this 3rd place match on this weekend and try to secure 40 points rather than 25 to give themselves a little bit more of a boost, they're going up against Ohio State Gray, who, I mean, we didn't see this matchup on stream, but Ohio State Gray took a 7-game win over Southern Miss Coca-Cola, the team with a 2nd and 3rd place finish in prior weekends of closed qualifier play. So I don't think it's going to get any less confusing for Oakland University in their 3rd place match. I'm really curious to see if they can get that win. It seems like the Drexel Dragons didn't have too much of an issue, and you know, you can use the law of common opponents to try and figure out who's even with who. I love that both teams are completely even in the shot total for this one, but that in and of itself speaks volumes to Terps Esports trying to be that offensive juggernaut. And when they hit their stride, you can really tell, because they played their hearts out through all 6 games here, denying the 7th to Oakland University and confirming that Terps Esports will get their rematch from last week against the Drexel Dragons in the grand finals of the final closed qualifier.
That is coming up after this break. Of course, we do have that 3rd place playoff, 25, 40 points respectively on the line. And it really is as simple as you win that game, you secure a top 8 seed. Whether it means that much in the end with how close this midfield is, up for debate. But one thing is for sure, Drexel Dragons can either put a statement win here, becoming one of the only team to win 2 separate brackets within league play, or Terps could secure not just 3rd seed, but 2nd seed, 100 points enough to see the past UT Dallas. We're going to find out on the other side of this break. We hope to see you then.
I wait tables, but last week I built a field hospital.
I stopped 1,000 attackers.
And a natural disaster.
While I go to school full-time.
While I work full-time.
The greater the challenge, the stronger we become.
Our generation isn't turning away from the world's problems. Watch us fly ahead, rise to every challenge, and overcome anything. Watch us become the next greatest generation.